Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sav. If you're returning, thank you so much. Welcome to today's video. A bit of a different one for me. Again, if you're an OG, then never done a video like this before. It's kind of not ever been something that I've been into. However, I was influenced by the one and only TikTok. So I think that's where I'm going to start in this video. This is a book haul. I'm not claiming to be a book YouTuber. I'm not a book talker. I have just kind of fallen into the trap and fell in love with books, and yeah, it's my little piece of heaven now. So in the midst of chaos at work and chaos at home, when I read, it does kind of, and it sounds really cliche, but it does give you that freedom away from reality. It's really weird, but I'm still trying to find my favourite kind of genre. I think you'll probably pick up a theme throughout this haul in terms of what I've already got. I haven't read all of my books, so some of them are on my TBR, which should be read list. But I'm generally one, I love Coho. The good old Colleen Hoover is actually where it started, because like many people, many book talkers, many like book YouTubers, I did start with, or more recent book talkers and YouTubers, I did start with, what's it called? It Ends With Us, which we will come on to in a moment. I have kind of just fallen in love with books. I find Colleen Hoover is very controversial. I'm not entirely sure why. Never really looked into it. Like her stories, and that is what it is. If I enjoy reading it, then, you know, there we go. But yeah, let's jump into it and I will show you what I've got, what I have read, and what is on my TBR. So, as I mentioned, I did in fact start with It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I feel like everyone knows this book already. What I like to do on my books is I actually put in, now I'm not usually one for writing in books because I like them to be like pristine. However, with these I thought it would be really nice because I'm going to keep the ones that I really like. And to be honest, when I finish this, I could have read it all over again and again and again. So it's been a while since I've actually, you know, I only read it once, but it's been a while since I read it. So I actually started it on the 2nd of April this year and finished it on the 8th of April. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It's really weird because thinking on it, and I'm not going to give you spoilers, but thinking on, you know, just a general my thoughts on it, I really liked it. It had me smiling, it had me really emotional, on like a roller coaster of emotions. I think the way that Lily was probably feeling, but I did really like it. I've highlighted bits and bobs in it. I really want to try and do annotations, but I'm not really entirely sure what to do yet. So I'm kind of, I've done a couple. I don't know if you're really going to be able to see that, but yeah, I've done a couple. What did I put there? Oh, funny enough, I put not sure how I feel about this, and I've like underlined, and I've put here I start sobbing. Yeah, some bits that I feel like I could relate to. But yeah, so you've got Lily and Ryle, and I'm not going to like divulge into it. I'm sure that you've all read this, but I loved Ryle, and by the end it was weird because I kind of questioned if she made the right decision, and if you know, you know. And that might sound really weird to some of you, because some of you are probably thinking like, of course she made the right decision, but it was really hard because, like I said, I think, and I don't know if some other people feel like this, but I really fell in love with Ryle as a person and feel like, not condoning the things he did, but I think he needed help, and I'm quite a caring person when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I feel like I take on a lot of responsibility to help others, so I think that's kind of where my personality kind of clashed with the ending a little bit. And then yeah, I was a little bit disappointed, but at the same time it left me thinking for a long time, which leads me on to the second book I then read, which was the It Starts With Us. And this I read really quickly. I actually had it in the hardbook cover first because I didn't have the paperback out, and I started this on the 11th of April, so not long after It Ends With Us, because when I finished that one I was like, I have to go and get this one immediately, and I actually finished it the following day on the 12th of April. Again, I put 10 out of 10, loved the book, even more so after reading It Ends With Us. And at the end, I think, did I write in here how I felt about it? Yeah, so I put, after reading It Starts With Us, I'm glad this ended the way it did. I no longer question the choices and decisions Lily made. So yeah, again, this was a really good book. It was good to kind of see a bit more about the other characters. So Atlas as well. I don't know if I'm absolutely team Atlas, but I also kind of get it from Ryle as well. It's really weird. You kind of, with these two, I don't know, I think it depends what your personality is, but how you take these books. But either way, I love them. I need to read them over again. So like I said, I finished that in a day, and this was the first book I read. So like I said, it took me, you know, 6 days, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's quite appalling, but for someone who doesn't read to then pick up a book and do it in 6 days, it's yeah, I was quite impressed with myself. But yeah, then I was hooked, as you can probably tell. But absolutely love these two. I'm gonna think about reading them again because like I said, I haven't read them since April. And let me know if you want like a reactions. Obviously with these ones it's not going to be a first reaction, but it's been a while. I can remember bits and bobs of it, and I'm sure there's bits that I would have, kind of little bits that will mean something and have me shocked, that will, you know, give me a reaction for you guys to see if you want to see that. But let me know. I think this was the first book I read before the Coho ones, actually. I didn't write it in here, did I? No, maybe not. I can't remember which order, but I did actually read this. I think this could have been at the start of the year, actually, before the Coho books. This is You've Reached Sam, and this is by Dustin, I think it's Thau. It's the must-read TikTok sensation. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this one. I feel like this is really, really long-winded. I mean, it's not like the thickest of books either. It's only, let's have a look. How many pages? So without acknowledgements, it's 293 pages. And it just took me a while. I mean, it had me sobbing at parts because it kind of reminded me of the passing of my nan a little bit in the way that the story is told. And yeah, there was things in there that I could kind of feel like I could relate to, in the sense of, obviously, you know, what the story is about. Again, I'm not really going to say in case none of you have read it, but I'm sure a lot of you have probably read it. But yeah, it's just a little bit slow, but equally it's sad, and I don't know, I feel like there could have been other things, but as I think from the middle to the end it's pretty good and you get gripped. But leading up to that, you don't really know what's happened other than, you know, the situation that she's now in, but you don't know how it happened, when it happened. It kind of just sets the scene a little bit, but I think it probably could have got there quicker. So yeah, this one I would probably give maybe a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I feel like that's really harsh, but thinking on the other ones I've got to show you, who I rate like 9s and 10s, that's kind of where I put this one. Then I read 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, and this had me sobbing like crazy. So I started this on the 13th of May and I finished it on the 14th of May. Yeah, it just had me sobbing. If you've read this, I did not expect, it had me shocked. I did not expect it. Again, it kind of reminded me of people that I've lost in our family, which I could kind of then relate to Poppy in this book. So there's Poppy and Rune, and yeah, it's crazy because you kind of get to a really sad bit really early on, when Poppy actually loses her grandmother. So again, it kind of resonated with me in that, you know, she was a lot younger, but some of the things she says, it's just really, yeah, heart-tugging. And I don't really know what to say without spoiling it. You've got Rune and Poppy meet as children and swore to be friends forever. As teenagers, this grew into a love that promised to last a lifetime. Their worlds were shattered when Rune was sent home to his native Norway. 2 years later, Rune is back and Poppy is ready for their happy ever after to begin. But the boy who returns is not the Rune that she remembers. What happened to her sweet, thoughtful Rune and this brooding stranger? And will the secret Poppy is carrying bring them closer together or separate them forever? Now, the secret, I could have never predicted what that was going to be. Never in a million years did I think this book was going to go how it went. And I think that's what made it worse, because I was just completely and utterly gobsmacked. And yeah, it just breaks my heart. So again, I might have to read this again. Like I said, I sobbed, but yeah, there's bits in here that I kind of quickly read through as well. I didn't necessarily appreciate it because I was already sobbing and I just couldn't physically bring myself to do it. So let me know if you want to do a reaction on that one as well, because that's a good one to have a reaction to. Another Colleen Hoover book is Never Never. Now this is the worst one I've read to date. I actually can't even remember. I mean, I can. So I started this on the 25th of June and I finished it on the 19th of July. And it's just... yeah, I can't actually remember too much about it. I'll read you the ones. You've got Charlie and Silas have been best friends since they could walk. They've been in love since the age of 14, but as of this morning are complete strangers. Their first kiss, their first fight, and the moment they fell in love, every memory had vanished. Now Charlie and Silas must work together to uncover the truth about what happened to them and why. But the more they learn about the couple they used to be, the more they question why they were ever together to begin with. It's a weird one. Yeah, it's not my favourite at all. Again, I think it's really long-winded for what it is. It's not really until kind of 3/4 of the way through that you're like, things start to properly come together. It's just really long-winded, and it didn't leave me satisfied like her other ones had to this point. So not my favourite. Let me know if you've read this one and what your thoughts are, because yeah, it's just a weird one for me. It was okay. I'd probably rate this a 4 or 5 out of 10, which is quite upsetting because I actually love some of her other books. So that's that one. Then I actually read The Silent Patient, I think was after that. When did I start this? So a little bit different in terms of what I'd already read. I didn't put the start date on here, but I finished it on the 4th of June. I'll have to go back through my phone and find out when I started it. But yeah, finished it on the 4th of June. Brilliant book. If there's any others out there like this that you kind of recommend, please let me know, because I loved this. Hooked is all I can say, and it was... I did not expect the ending. Like, if you haven't read this, it's is it a thriller? Yeah, thriller. Read it. That's what I'm going to say. It's fantastic. I'll read you the back. So Alicia Berenson lived a seemingly perfect life until one day 6 years ago when she shot her husband in the head 5 times. Since then she hasn't spoken a single word, and it's time to find out why. Again, never pictured, never would have thought this would have gone the way that it went. So 1000% worth a read. I'd give this a good 9 or 10 out of 10. So I've got November 9th. So these are all popular kind of recommended ones on TikTok. Got November 9th, Ugly Love, Verity, All Your Perfects, and Colleen Hoover. I have actually read All Your Perfects. Can't believe I forgot about that one. This one, again, was really good. I started this on the 7th of May and I finished it in the day. So yeah, still finished on the 7th of May. Again, had me sobbing. It's, yeah, had me a bit really mixed emotions because I could kind of get it from both sides. So basically I'll read you the back and I can kind of tell you bits and bobs, but I won't give any spoilers. It's kind of split on 2 timelines. So we've got Then, which is the last thing Quinn expected was to meet the love of her life just outside her fiance's front door. A year after leaving behind their cheating partners, Quinn and Graham are in a perfect relationship that seems designed by fate. And then Now timeline. 7 years later, their perfect love is threatened by their imperfect marriage. The memories, mistakes and dreams that they built up over the years are tearing them apart. One thing that could save them might also be the very thing that pushes their marriage past the point of no return. And it's, listen, if I had a marriage, or, you know, when I get married, if it's not like this, I don't want it. And that might be weird if you've read it, because it's like they're not going through the best time, but equally things happen, and what they do to kind of try and rekindle their love, it's yeah, it's nice. And it's nice that people, you know, in this book own up to things that they've done wrong, and can recognize it. And it's quite sad from both perspectives, from the guy's perspective but equally the woman's perspective. And as a woman, I can kind of say I would probably relate to the woman's perspective, but equally I didn't agree with some of the things that she did, and it's, yeah, I can also get the male's perspective, but it doesn't condone some of the things that he did either. So a really good read. Like that one. I've also got Reminders of Him. Again, this one had me sobbing. I read this on the day before I read All Your Perfects, actually. So I started this on the 6th of May and finished it the same day on the 6th of May. If I read you the back, so a young mother fights to learn a place in her child's life, but is there room for her? So after serving 5 years in prison for a tragic mistake, Kenna returns to the town where it all went wrong, hoping to reunite with her 4-year-old daughter, but the bridges Kenna burned are proving impossible to rebuild. Everyone in her daughter's life is determined to shut Kenna out, no matter how hard she works to prove herself. The only person who hasn't closed the door on her completely is Ledger, a local bar owner and one of the few remaining links to Kenna's daughter. But if anyone were to discover how Ledger is slowly becoming an important part of Kenna's life, both would risk losing the trust of everyone important to them. The two form a connection despite the pressure surrounding them, but as their romance grows, so does the risk. Kenna must find a way to absolve the mistakes of her past in order to build a future out of hope and healing. And again, this one had me up and down in emotions all the time, because again, I get it from both perspectives, like, but equally I think a lot of people were really harsh on Kenna, and all she wanted to do was see her daughter. And yeah, the circumstances in which this is kind of laid out, it made me quite angry that people made it really hard for her. I get why, but it's just really frustrating as well that it took her so long, and it was just undeserved because of other people's grudges. And that's, I think, what hurts is sometimes you can kind of relate to different scenarios, and that obviously, I'm not saying I have a daughter out there that I haven't seen, but I'm saying when people hold a grudge against you for something that's, you know, completely not completely unrelated to them, that's a lie, it was very much related to them, but they shouldn't punish you for something else, if that makes sense. So obviously they punished her by not letting her see her daughter because of something that impacted them, which is just kind of, I think, wrong. But yeah, another good book. And yeah, Colleen Hoover does like to make people cry. I'm a very emotional person though, and very sensitive. I cry at movies all the time, and it's quite funny actually. That's Moose scratching the door because he can hear me talking. I've shut the door so we can't come in. But yeah, that's a good book. So I'd probably give this one a 7 or 8 out of 10. It's not my favourite Coho book, but that's not to say it's not one of my top reads. It's just not up there with, like I said, the others that are like 9, 10 rated. So now the next two will always be competing for a place in the top spot. This is Verity and Ugly Love. Now again, I haven't read these in a while. Verity I read in one sitting on the 24th of April, and Ugly Love I read, was it one sitting or possibly one sitting on the 1st of May and finished it the same day. I cannot get over these books. They have been on my mind since I've read them, that I want to reread them, and I think I'm going to do a video reading both of these individually and my reactions to them. Verity is really, really good, and you know, kind of as the I really like the cover now, actually thinking about it. I've never actually thought back about it, but the cover is brilliant. That's what my mind looked like at the end of this book, because it's madness, it's weird, and it leaves you feeling strange, because you're like, you love this relationship that forms between Lowen and Jeremy, but equally it's kind of wrong. But is it wrong? And then there's kids involved, and yeah, secrets are kind of found, and especially like basically a manuscript that Verity, which is actually Jeremy's wife, is found by Lowen, and she doesn't actually declare what's in the manuscript, which is really, really important. And it's just crazy, like there's so many things going on in this book around this family and around Verity, and secrets, and you feel happy but you feel like you're doing something wrong, and then you're feeling guilt, and then it's like, oh shit, it's crazy. So need to read this. I'll read you the back. So Lowen is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. So there you go. Based on what I've said, obviously you've got Lowen, you've got Jeremy and Verity, obviously husband and wife, but Jeremy hires Lowen to finish a book that Verity, you know, is a famous author. She's unable to finish it basically because of an accident, and then yeah, so you've got like a working relationship there already, which is quite weird, but they meet before they know that that there's a job there. Basically, Lowen arrives at the Crawford home ready to sort through years of Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started. What Lowen doesn't expect to uncover is the chaotic office. In the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night her family was forever altered. Lowen decides to keep the manuscript hidden from Jeremy, knowing its contents could devastate the already grieving father. But as Lowen's feelings for Jeremy begin to intensify, she recognises all the ways she could benefit if he were to read his wife's words, which is obviously a bit sick and twisted in itself. I mean, you've got this bone-chilling admission, which could kind of benefit you falling in love with someone, but it's just using it for the wrong reasons. And then it goes on to say, after all, no matter how devoted Jeremy is to his injured wife, a truth this horrifying would make it impossible for him to continue loving her. So, like I said, it's just wrong in so many ways that you would think of using that for personal gain, just to fall in love and sleep with someone. But equally, thinking on it, like, you would have to say something, because it's mad. And then there's these little twists and turns that leave you questioning throughout the book, and then at the end it's like, oh my god, it's weird. And then it just gets worse from that point, as in, not worse, but like the things that happen get worse and worse, and then it's like a brilliant ending. So yeah, if you've read it, let me know how you feel about the manuscript and what's found at the end, and whether you believe one way or another, because it kind of leaves you thinking it could be either or. I'm very much I think what's written in the manuscript is what happened, but I don't know. But that's the way I took it when I first read it. So I might read this again, my opinion might change, but you need to read it. This one had me sobbing, again, like most of her others have. It's mad. So you've got Tate and Miles. They won't even go so far as to consider themselves friends. The only thing Tate and Miles have in common is mutual physical attraction that can't be denied. Once their desires are out in the open, they realise they might have stumbled onto the perfect no-strings arrangement. He isn't looking for love and she doesn't have time for it, so it leaves just sex. What they've got could be surprisingly satisfying as long as Tate can stick to the 2 rules Miles has for her. Never ask about the past and don't expect a future. They think they can handle it, but everything is different when real emotions start to change the equation. Hearts get infiltrated, promises get broken, rules get shattered, and love gets ugly. It's, yeah, a really, really good read. This is about Tate and Miles. Now, Miles is Tate's brother's best friend, so obviously when they then start sleeping together, it's gets a bit heated at that point. But I think the relationship and this book, so she's a student at the time, I think a medical student, and he is, I can't remember what he's doing, but yeah, a med student. And as a student of around the age I think Tate would be in this book, it kind of is like in a weird kind of university / college girl fantasy, the way that you would like, or you would kind of imagine something happening when you're at college or you're, you know, at university, and that's kind of how relationships would happen. But it gets sad, like you get really, really attached to the 2 of them, and you kind of wonder what's so bad that happened to Miles that he doesn't, that he is the way he is, which is just really weird. And he denies himself this opportunity to just love Tate when they're clearly in love, but he won't allow it. And then you find out why he's like that, and again it's just brutal and sad, and you feel really, really bad for him at the end. It had me sobbing because he kind of starts sobbing in the book and you can feel his pain, and yeah, it's really weird, and you just want to take it off of him, but you absorb the pain that he's feeling. And yeah, really, really good book. I'm kind of waffling on, but again, this and Verity probably both have like 10 out of 10 ratings on my scale. Then I have November 9th. I haven't read this yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. So I have to say, from the are these called blurbs? From the blurbs of the book, from the backs of the books, not all of them have been what I would have seen or expected to pick up. Like a lot of the Colleen Hoover ones I would have never picked up just from reading the back of the book. So I'm glad. And sometimes I think you need to look at other people's reviews as well, although not other people are always going to think the same as what you will end up thinking, and there have been books that people have rated which I haven't rated. So, you know, you just have to find out for these things about yourself. But to be fair, TikTok did not disappoint when recommending Colleen Hoover books and Verity and Ugly Love, because both of those have very mixed reviews on as well, but I loved them both. So this one is Fallon meets Ben, an aspiring novelist. The day of her scheduled cross-country move, their untimely attraction leads them to spend Fallon's last day in LA together, and her eventful life becomes creative inspiration Ben has always sought for his novel. Over time, and amidst the various relationships and tribulations of their own separate lives, they continue to meet on the same day every year, until one day Fallon becomes unsure if Ben has been telling her the truth or fabricating a perfect reality for the sake of the ultimate plot twist. Can Ben's relationship with Fallon and simultaneously his novel be considered a love story if it ends in heartbreak? So yeah, I mean, again, it's not really gripped me from that, but and I haven't read this one yet, so like I said, I've heard a lot of good things about it from TikTok. It's highly recommended, but haven't read it yet. So if you want like a first impressions or like a read with me, let me know. Or if you've read the book, again, don't give me spoilers, but give me something to kind of hopefully get me hooked onto reading it. I kind of want to read everything all at once, but obviously you can't do that, so that's that. I think that's it in terms of what I've actually read. I'm currently reading page 2 and 5 years from now. It's down by my bed because obviously that's where I do my reading in bed at night sometimes, or you know, if it's a really good one like some of the Coho ones, then obviously I carry it around and I finish it in the day. But yeah, so that's down there. Currently reading that. I'll let you know how I feel about that at the end. At the moment it's kind of just setting out like the context of it, so yeah, I've kind of got like an indication as to where I think it's going to go, but apparently it's really sad, so don't know what to expect from that one yet, but we'll see. I do have a couple of other Coho books. Losing Hope and Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I can't remember which one's meant to be read first, but I picked them both up because what I didn't want to happen was the same as It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. I didn't have both of those at the same time. I had to go out, and when I finished It Ends With Us, I automatically wanted to pick up It Starts With Us. So yeah, obviously I got these two. Yeah, so read Hopeless first, because Hopeless is Skye's story, and now in Losing Hope we learn the truth about Dean. So they're the characters, but like I said, I haven't read them yet. So in Hopeless we've got the story of two young people with devastating pasts who embark on a passionate, intriguing journey to discover the lessons of life, love, trust, and above all the healing power that only truth can bring. Skye, a senior in high school, meets Dean, a guy with a promiscuous reputation that rivals her own. From their first encounter, he terrifies and captivates her. Something about him sparks memories of her deeply troubled past, a time she tried so hard to bury. Skye's determined to stay far away from him. His unwavering pursuit and enigmatic smile break down her defences, and the intensity of the bond between them grows, but the mysterious Holder has been keeping secrets of his own, and once they are revealed, Skye is changed forever, and her ability to trust may be a casualty of the truth. Only by courageously facing the stark revelations can Skye and Holder hope to heal their emotional scars and find a way to live and love without boundaries. Hopeless is a novel that will leave you breathless, entranced, and remembering your own first love. That's interesting, because obviously I still am in love and love my first true love. So yeah, my batch is going to die. Back in 2 secs. She's back. Yeah, so that was Hopeless, and then in Losing Hope we've obviously got the other side of it, which is Dean's perspective. So here it says the story of what happened when a troubled girl named Skye encountered a long lost childhood friend, Dean. With Holder's help, Dean Holder, and then with Holder's help, Skye uncovered shocking family secrets and came to terms with memories and emotions that had left deep scars. Hopeless was Skye's story. Now in Losing Hope we finally learn the truth about Dean. Haunted by the little girl he couldn't save from imminent danger, Holder's life has been overshadowed by feelings of guilt and remorse. He never stopped searching for her, believing that finding her would bring him the peace he needs to move on. However, Holder could not have anticipated he would be faced with even greater pain the moment they reconnected. In Losing Hope, Holder reveals the way in which the events of Skye's youth affected him and his family, leading him to seek his own redemption in the act of saving her. But it's only in loving Skye that he can finally begin to heal himself. So that sounds like a good one, which makes me excited for this one. Yeah, haven't read it yet, like I said, but that's 2 of those. Then I picked up, what have I got? So I've got Christina Lauren's Love and Other Words. Again, this is meant to be quite a sad one. I like books that apparently make me sob. I don't know why, I just do. I like a good cry, it makes me feel better sometimes. Yeah, and it's quite funny because I've seen lots of different covers for some of the books that I've got. This is the cover that I got, which is not my favourite one and not the one I expected, which is why I couldn't find it in the bookshop, because I was looking for the cover. Silly me, I should have just been looking for the author. But yeah, so excited to read that one again. It's one that was recommended on TikTok. To be fair, all of these are. So this one is, I've not actually read this. So they spent a decade apart, now will they find their way back to one another? Macy is settling into an ambitious, if emotionally tepid routine, work hard as a resident, plan a wedding to an older, secure man, keep her head down and heart tucked away. But when she runs into Elliot, her first and only love, the careful bubble she constructed begins to dissolve. Once upon a time, Elliot was Macy's entire world. At 13, he was her first real friend, and by 18 was her everything. Just as they were about to take on the world together, everything fell apart. But after 11 years, nothing between them has changed. And although memories of spending lazy weekends and summers together, they are obscured by the agony of what happened that night so many years ago, Macy can't seem to resist him. So that sounds good. Again, sounds like something that I would very much like to read. So again, haven't read that one. I also picked up the other day Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Is that right? Dolly Alderton? Yeah. And TikTok recommendation. I quite like the one of the on the back there's like little reviews, and it says, very, very funny, don't hate me when I tell you that everything I know about love is Sex and the City for millennials, because I mean it as a high praise. I actually loved Sex and the City as a series when it used to be on the TV, and also the films. If it's anything like that, it's funny. It's so full of life and laughs. I gobbled up this book. Alderton has built something beautiful and true out of many fragments of daftness. The book we thrust into our friends' hands that will help heal a broken heart. Alderton's wise words can resonate with women of all ages. Feels like a best friend and older sister rolled into one, and her pages wrap you around like a warm hug. Yeah, but obviously on the cover, and I'm sure many of you have seen it, but it says everything I know about parties, dates, friends, jobs, life and love, with a new chapter on everything I know at 30. So yeah, excited to read that one. Another saddie I picked up is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This took ages to get my hands on. Could have ordered it, but you couldn't actually get it in bookstores anywhere in the UK, or not by me anyway. I actually ended up picking this up in Birmingham when I went, because their Waterstones is much bigger, but this was on order and you were waiting weeks to get it, which is why I didn't bother. I'm one of those people that's annoyingly, when I want something, I like to have my hands on it that day, and it was weird. It was on my list, but I kind of just left it be for a bit, and then walked into the Waterstones in Birmingham and there it was. So yeah, apparently this is really, really sad. Again, one of the ones that I think all of you are probably, or you know, anyone interested in books at the moment is going to be knowing all about. I also the other day picked up Magnolia Parks. It's about a London socialite and Britain's most photographed bad boy who broke her heart. But these two are meant to be, and everyone knows it. Magnolia and BJ are written in the stars, just suspended in a strange kind of love that looks like hurting each other a lot of the time. She dates other people to keep him at bay. He sleeps with other girls to get back at her for it. Only now their dysfunction is catching up with them. As the cracks start to show and secrets begin to surface, Magnolia and BJ are finally forced to face the formidable question they've been avoiding all their lives. How many loves do you really get in a lifetime? So yeah, I feel like that's a book that's going to really play with my emotions, to be honest. It's also going to live out my fantasy of being, you know, a London socialite. So we'll see. I also picked up the other day probably the biggest book I own, and this is A Little Life. I've seen this going around on TikTok a lot. Again, it's meant to be really sad. It's about kind of from what I've heard, it's about 4 individuals that form this story. It says 4 graduates moved to New York, broke adrift and buoyed on only by their friendship and ambition. The handsome actor Willem, the sardonic painter JB, Malcolm, a frustrated architect, and the brilliant yet enigmatic Jude, who serves as their centre of gravity. Over many decades, their complex relationships come to be defined by their respective addictions, successes and traumas in this immensely powerful novel of love and the limits of human endurance. So yeah, it's a big old book. I've heard a lot of people say, ooh, and the writing's very, very teeny. Kind of excited. I think I'm going to need to start like a notebook to go alongside this, because my memory is absolutely shocking, and because there's 4 people, so 4 lots of things to remember, and apparently it doesn't tell you as you go through the book who it's speaking about. Just pick it up based on the characteristics of that individual. So I feel like I'm going to need to start like a little notebook with a profile on each of them when we first begin, and make note of who likes what, and you know, we'll see. But this will be a good one to to do a first read video on, so again, let me know if you want one of those. Yeah, I'm a bit scared, to be honest, as well, but again, this has got mixed reviews like some of the other books. But then I've got Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've got a couple from. I picked up After I Do and One True Loves. I quite like the whole After I Do, the sound of it. They just look like that, by the way. I didn't actually show you. So she's known for Daisy Jones and the Six, and also Malibu Rising, neither of which I have. I have read them, as in the backs of them in the shops, and again, they just don't sound like something that I'd be interested in, so haven't picked them up. But if I'm wrong, then please let me know. For One True Loves, we've got high school sweethearts Emma and Jesse moved far away from home together, travelling the world, building a life of their own. 364 days after their wedding, Jesse's on a helicopter that goes missing mid-flight and suddenly he's gone. Years later, Emma's back in her hometown, grieved, learned to live again and fallen in love. At a family dinner one autumn evening, she receives a phone call from Jesse, and it says, with a fiance and a husband, heartbreak lies ahead, but is there one such thing as one true love? So obviously she was married, he went missing, I assume was presumed dead. She then kind of fell in love and got engaged again, but that's a really difficult one, because I think as a person to probably go through that and, you know, go through the process of grieving and then finding love again without feeling guilty, never knowing what happened to your husband, and then all of a sudden you receive that, like, it must have took, like, it would be really, I think it would be really hard, because you probably would feel guilty for loving someone else and then finding out your husband's still alive, and all the grief that you went through to get through to the point where you would actually consider marriage again. That must be mad, so I'm excited to read that one. And then this one, After I Do, says, make no mistake, I do love you. Just because I don't feel the love in my heart doesn't mean I don't know it's there. I know it's there. I'm leaving you because I'm going to find it, and I promise you that. And it's Lauren and Ryan met and fell in love in college. A decade later, their marriage reaches breaking point. Hoping to find a way to fall in love again, they come up with a plan to take a year off from each other. There is only one rule: they cannot contact each other. Living apart from Ryan, Lauren confronts her own ideas about monogamy and marriage. What does it mean to love? What are you willing to fight for? And is there a new road to live happily ever after? So again, another thing that I think, it's another way you can look if you're married and consider the options available. I don't feel like, you know, I don't not believe in divorce, but I've always kind of maintained that I think if I only ever want to get married once, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe a lot of people share that, and sometimes it's not feasible, and then sometimes people will say, well, why would you deny yourself the opportunity to, you know, not fall in love again and not be married and do it right? But it's just the way I see it at the moment. Like, in my mind, if I was to get married, I would want to do it once and once only, because it's very special. Hence the fact that I think me and Billy have been together for 12 years. We're really young. I mean, I'm 25 next year, but we're really young. We don't have life figured out right now. We're still living at home, which is absolutely fine. You know, we're in a cost of living crisis. But like I said, like, I wouldn't want to do it now, because yeah, we've been together 12 years next year, but we're not ready, and I want it to mean something, and I don't want to get engaged and be engaged for, like, you know, 5 to 10 years. Like, I want to get engaged, then married, like, the next year, go on a lovely honeymoon and just do it right and be in a position where it is right. So yeah, I'm interested to read that one. Sorry I went off on a bit of tangent, but again, that's how I can kind of relate some of these books to the way I feel and like my own personal opinions, so that's those. I then got another one from Page Toons. Like I said, I'm reading currently 5 Years From Now, and this is Only Love Can Hurt Like This. Earth-shattering secret and a life-changing story. Ren realises her fiance is in love with someone else. She thinks her heart will never recover. On the other side of the world, Anders lost his wife 4 years ago and is still struggling to move on. When hopes that spending the summer with her dad and stepfamily on their farm in Indiana will help her heal, there amid the cornfields and fireflies, she and Anders cross paths and their worlds are turned upside down again. But Ren doesn't know Anders is harbouring a secret, and if he acts on any feelings he has for Ren, it will have serious fallout for everyone. So again, quite a weird book, and again, you can kind of see a theme between, like, obviously they're like romantic, kind of pulling on the heartstrings, because to find out your fiance loves someone else, it's, you know, for me that would be the end of it there and then, but equally, I don't know, might depend on the situation, but weird. I feel like this is going to be a good one. And again, it kind of makes you think, what secret can possibly stop the two of them from getting together? If her fiance is loving someone else, then surely you say goodbye and find the, you know, go with the person you love. But, and then again recently I picked up Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I don't really know Why? One, I picked it up because I saw it on TikTok. I don't really know what the reviews have said about it other than, yeah, I read it, but I've not seen it that often to warrant actually buying it. In fact, I did like the front cover as well. I picked it up. I got this from Sainsbury's actually. This is the story of Sam and Sadie. It's not a romance, but it is about love. When Sam catches sight of Sadie at a crowded train station one winter morning, he's captured back to the brief time they spent playing together as children. Their unique spark is instantly reignited. What comes next is a story of friendship and rivalry, fame and creativity, betrayal and tragedy, perfect worlds and imperfect ones, and ultimately our need to connect, to be loved and to love. That sounds pretty good actually. We've got some of the reviews. Anyone who reads Tomorrow can't stop talking about it. Exhilarating, timely and emotive. One of the best books I've ever read. Interesting, because again, it's one of those books from that I feel like you can kind of live out your main character vibes. So I've also got these other two heartbreaking books. I've got Every Last Word by Tamara Stone, meant to be really, really sad, and so is this If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. Both of these I feel like are massive on TikTok. Every Last Word is about a girl called Samantha who has OCD and is consumed by a stream of dark thoughts and worries she can't turn off, which I kind of relate to because that happens to me, especially on a night time. I don't know why, let me know if anyone else does this, but I have this thing where if I have something coming up, I have anxiety anyway, but if I have something coming up, I find that I will run 1,000 different scenarios in my head of how that day is going to play out, and it will only be the bad scenarios, and then what would happen if this happened, and then I would play it out, and then I get really upset about it and really anxious about it, and then I don't sleep, and none of the scenarios that I played out in my head actually happen. It's just weird. Definitely not normal when I'm talking about it. I mean, I haven't seen a doctor about it because I just think, what are they going to do? Put me on sleep medication to sleep? But again, I'll panic about that because what if I don't wake up? It's weird, but yeah, that's weird. I didn't realise that on this book. But yeah, second guessing every move, thought and word makes daily life a struggle. Doesn't help, her lifelong friends will turn toxic at the first sign of a wrong outfit, wrong lunch or wrong crush. Sam knows she'd be truly crazy to leave the protection of most popular girls in school, so when Sam meets Caroline, she has to keep her new friend with a refreshing sense of humour and no style a secret. Right up there with Sam's weekly visit to her psychiatrist. Maybe that's what I need. Caroline introduces Sam to Poet's Corner, a hidden room and a tight-knit group of misfits who have been ignored by the school at large. Sam is drawn to them immediately, especially a guitar-playing guy with a talent for verse, and starts to discover a whole new side to herself. She slowly begins to feel more normal than ever as part of the popular crowd until she finds a new reason to question her sanity and she holds all dear. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun read. I feel personally attacked already. These books, like, see what I mean? They're just deep. Like, I didn't need to go this crazy. If He Had Been With Me, we've got Autumn and Finn, who used to be inseparable, but then something changed or they changed. Now they do their best to ignore each other. Autumn has her boyfriend Jamie and a close-knit group of friends. Finn has become that boy at school that everyone wants to be around. That still doesn't stop the way Autumn feels every time she and Finn cross paths, and the growing nagging thought that maybe things could have been different. Maybe they should be together. As time passes, Autumn realises she might not get another chance to make things right before it's too late. It's described as a sweet, authentic love story and hypnotic writing. Oh, I just opened it and all I saw was having sex. Interesting. Also picked up, this is meant to be a summer read, but I haven't got around to it yet. This is The Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is the hardback cover. Yeah, this is the only one I've got from her, I think, at the moment. I don't think I've got Beach Reads. No. Go to your happy place, I think, desperately, only to realise I'm literally in my happy place, and he is here. The very last person I expected to see, the very last person I want to see, Wyn Connor, my fiance. Why would you not want to see them? Described as smart, sunny, sexy and gorgeous story of female friendship, the closest thing to going on holiday without leaving your sofa. Heartfelt and hilarious, this book is my happy place. That's by Lucy Score. A heart-tugging tale that captures the importance of found family, the pain of growing apart from those we love, and triumph of finding them and ourselves again. Got The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith, which again is meant to be a sad one, and also The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yaros, which again, if I'm being completely honest, I'm avoiding reading because I don't know why, I feel like this is the one that will break me, if not If He Had Been With Me or Every Last Word, actually. Just based on the TikTok reviews I've seen of it, but yeah, I don't know why, but I just feel like it kind of gives me, oh, what's that film? I can't think of it. There's a film, and it's giving me the vibes, but that's not helpful to you at all because you have no idea what film I'm talking about, but I don't know. Yeah, another global TikTok sensation, but that's one that I'm, you know, trying to save. Then I've got Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. I picked this up quite early on. I do in fact know what the front cover references to, and if you do too, then you know, it's quite sad anyway. The back is Charlotte Davis is in pieces. At 17, she's already lost more than most people do in a lifetime, but she's learned how to forget. Broken glass washes away the sorrow until there's nothing but calm. You don't have to think about your father and the river, your best friend who is gone forever, or your mother who has nothing left to give you. A deeply moving portrait of a girl in a world that owes her nothing yet has taken so much, and her long journey back from the edge. Now again, I've been putting off reading this because in a low mood or depressive state, I think this could be quite dangerous to read. Not dangerous to read, what am I talking about? Like, I don't know, just in terms of mentally, probably not the best thing to read if I was on a down day. I mean, I rarely have my down days now, but yeah, I just feel like, yeah, this one needs to be read with care. Equally, I'm kind of excited to read it and see, again, how I can relate myself to it, if I can. I'm not saying I can relate to every book I read, but those tend to be the books that I sway towards, is where they kind of explain a little bit about my life and escape. But it's described as a haunting, beautiful and necessary book. Right, then let's go on to something a little bit more light-hearted. So I've picked up the Twisted series by Anna, I don't know how you say her surname, I'm really sorry if I'm butchering this, but Anna Huang, I think, maybe. So you get Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies. I think you can actually buy these in a book set now in the works, but I bought them all separately because they didn't have that offer. Now I haven't read any of them. Well, these are extremely highly recommended on TikTok. So you've got Twisted Love. He has a heart of ice, but for her he'd burn the world. He can't have her, but he's taken her anyway for Twisted Games. He hates her almost as much as he wants her, and he'll do anything to have her, including lie. I'm excited to read these because the only other series and the last set I've got, I say the last, like I have got a lot considering I only started reading this year, but I've got the Lauren Asher books, which is Final Offer, Terms and Conditions and The Fine Print. That one's meant to be a fan favourite. Can't remember why, to be honest, because I bought these a while ago. I think this is going to be a good read, and I love the covers on these. I don't know why, they just look really, really cute. So yeah, that's another one, which again, a series I can read, and I wonder how long it'll take me to read kind of all three of them. But that is all my books. I didn't realise this was going to take me an hour. I haven't actually told you what's on the back of those, have I? So on the back of Final Offer, which is the first one, we've got Callahan and Alana. Callahan is the Kane brother that everyone gossips about behind closed doors, a trust fund brat, washed up athlete, high function alcoholic, and no one knows the real me but her, Lana Castillo. Childhood best friend and the only woman he ever loved. When I broke her heart 6 years ago, I promised to never return to Lake Wisteria. I kept my word until my grandfather's will changed everything. To receive my inheritance, I was tasked with spending a summer at the family lake house before selling it. The request was simple in theory until my entire plan blew up on the very first day. Turns out Lana doesn't live at the house, but she claims to own it too. Interesting. And then from her perspective, she says that falling in love with him was a mistake. When he promised never to come back, I foolishly believed him, but then Cal showed up again, intending to sell his father's lake house. The biggest flaw in his plan? My name is on the deed. So I feel like, ooh, girl, how the hell did your name get on the deed? But, you know, we'll see. We've got Terms and Conditions with Declan and I think it's Iris. Destined to become the next CEO of his family's media empire. The only problem, my grandfather's inheritance clause. Fulfilling his dying wish of getting married and having an heir seemed impossible until my assistant volunteered for the job. Our marriage was supposed to be the perfect solution to my biggest problem. But the more we act in love for the public, the more unsure I feel about our contract. Caring about Iris was never part of the deal, especially not when breaking her heart is inevitable. And then from her perspective, to marry Declan was a simple theory. Move in together, throw a wedding, have a baby. We set rules to prevent any kind of issues, ones that were never meant to be broken, no matter how much Declan tempts me. But what happens when our fake relationship bleeds into a real one? Falling in love was never an option, at least not for me. Ooh, interesting. Again, I feel like they're going to be good reads. Fine Print. This is the fan favourite. We've got Rowan and Zara. Yeah, we're going to go with Zara. Rowan's in the business of creating fairy tales, production companies and 5-star hotels, theme parks. Everything can be mine if I renovate Dreamland. Hiring Zara was a great plan until I fell for her. By the time I realised I went wrong, it was too late. People like me don't get happy endings, not when we're destined to ruin them. Zara's point of view is, after submitting a drunk proposal criticising Dreamland's most expensive ride, I should have been fired. Instead, Rowan offered me a dream job. The catch, I had to work for the most difficult boss I'd ever met. Rowan was rude and completely off limits, but my heart didn't care. At least not until I discovered his secret. It was time to teach the billionaire that money couldn't fix everything, especially not us. I feel like that's going to be a good one. Maybe that's why it's a fan favourite, because people with money, I think, very much so think that anything could be fixed with money, and if that's the position she's going to take, that money couldn't fix everything, especially not them, that's going to hurt for someone with a lot of money and probably a big ego, but we'll see. Yeah, so just looking at the timer, it's taking me an hour. That is my book collection for now, and I hope you guys enjoyed this very, very different video. I've actually really enjoyed sitting here and talking about books, so yeah, I think we're going to do a couple of, you know, read with me's and first reaction videos. That'll be fun, and you can just see me sob at some of these books. So yeah, I can give you my thoughts and my reviews on some of them, but that's it. So as you will see, it's kind of crazy. Books are everywhere at the moment, never mind my little setup, but yeah, as you will see. So that's Billy's whiskey trolley that you're balancing on as well, so you know, don't come for me, I'm not drinking at, like, you know, whatever time it is in the afternoon. Oh, to be fair, it's only 2:15. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you want to see any more book related content from me, or any books you recommend, or your first thoughts down below. Please give it all to me. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye.